Good morning, my name is Kelly Rossouw, and I always find that on my multi-plugs where I have all my appliances plugged in, I can never figure out which one is which. So that's why this cable tag was long overdue in being created, and I really wanted to share it with you. So we're going to create these cable tags together so that you can know exactly which cable you are unplugging and you don't unplug the wrong one. My name is Kelly Rossouw, and let's get clacking. So you're going to need to grab the freebie SVG down below. I do also have some other fun patterned designs. Those are available if you are a channel member. So channel members, go and check that out, as that one is available free for you to use. Now, when it comes to materials for these cable tags or cable labels, because that sounds kind of cool, I like to use either printable sticker photo paper or printable vinyl. The sticker photo paper is a little bit cheaper, so you don't have to worry about it being ridiculously expensive if you need to create a lot of them. Even though one page you can actually create quite a few, but printable vinyl, they do kind of hold up a little bit better long term. So if you're looking for a more long-term solution, then I would recommend going with the vinyl. If you're looking for a slightly more cost-effective solution that's almost as good, then the sticker photo paper will work really well. And that's the one that I'm going to show you how to use today. You're also going to need a Cricut machine with the print and cut capability. So that's anything from the Joy Extra and above. So any of the Explore machines, the Maker machines, or even the Cricut Venture. If you're using another brand, you can use Silhouette, Brother, Juliet, any of those machines that support the print and cut function. Some of the steps just won't be the same, so you'll need to, adjust and adapt a little bit there too, because this project works on any machine, it doesn't matter. I also like to use an EcoTank printer. I have an Epson EcoTank. They are ridiculously economical on ink, and I feel like I never have to top this thing up. It's been a while. These are a little bit more expensive up front, so if you have a low budget, then you would want to go for a slightly cheaper option, but they are very, very economical in the long term, and you shouldn't need to be buying ink refills, and it doesn't work on cartridges, so you would just need ink bottles to top up your ink after quite a while. I prefer to use my light grip mat for these as opposed to anything a little bit stronger. And if you're using glossy paper, you might want to use some invisible tape or a white crayon. This helps to reduce the glare on the registration marks, which means that you get a more accurate cut and less problems with your project, which means that you save more paper in the long run. So definitely check that out if you'd like to work with glossy paper. And of course, like I mentioned, remember to grab the file down below because we're going to be hopping into Cricut Design Space. So in Cricut Design Space, we're just going to upload the tag, the SVG that I've shared with you. And I'm just going to drag and drop it in, click continue, upload, and then it'll add it to our canvas. Now, of course, it is quite a small object because we don't need it to be particularly large, and it is 2 different layers. What we're going to do is we're going to select it, and then in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to ungroup it so that we can play around with the layers and the colors and things. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to change the color or add a pattern to the base layer, but then these 2 little rectangles here, we're going to leave because we need somewhere to be able to write our title of what our item is. So I've just got the base layer selected, just that one. And you can double check in the layers panel on the right hand side that you have the correct one selected. And then in the top left hand corner, here is where we can change the color or add a pattern to our cable tag. So I'm going to click on this little square next to the operation section. You can change it to any color you want, or click on the plus and change it to a very specific color. If you have a brand color or something like that, you can change it there. If you want to change it into a pattern, you have to do something a little different. So we're going to select the drop down under operation. And then right at the bottom, we're going to click where it says print then cut. Now, it doesn't look very different, but you can see that on the layer that we have, there's now no black outline around the edge of our lighter green layer. And that is correct. That's what we want. So we're going to keep it selected. And now we're going to again come to the little square next to the operation section. And now it will look a little bit different. So now we have the option to change the print type from color into a pattern. So we're going to click on pattern. And here's where you'll see all of the patterns that you've uploaded into Design Space as a pattern, or all of the patterns that are by default already in Cricut Design Space. So you can scroll through them and choose whichever one you want. And they've also finally added the option to be able to delete a pattern. We used to upload duplicates, and that's relatively new, so I'm still very excited about it. As you can see, there's a duplicate of a pattern because I didn't know that it had been uploaded already, so I'm going to delete that pattern. And you can choose any which one of the patterns that you have in Cricut Design Space. And of course, the one failed to load that I want to show you. So once you've clicked it, it will change the pattern. You can make these quite funky. You can maybe color code them depending on what device you are adding your color tag onto. It is totally up to you. I'm going to choose a nice succulent pattern, and I'm going to click out of that. So now we have the succulent pattern at the background, and then we have the two little rectangles on the front. Now you have the option of adding in your titles in Cricut Design Space or just printing them out like this. I would kind of recommend a combination of the two, because when it comes to labeling tags and cables, you may not always think of all of the names that you need to label, so you could do some blank ones. But my handwriting is awful, so I'm going to title a few and show you how I prefer to do it. So on the left of the screen, we're going to click where it says text, and it'll add a little text box to our screen. And if you don't see where it's added, it's because we're zoomed in a lot. So we're just going to zoom out, and there's our text box just underneath next to my face a little bit. So I'm just going to move it up to the top so that you can see it. And I'm going to double click the text box to open it up so that I can type in what I want to make my cable tag. I'm going to make this night lamp, and I'm going to click away. Now, I would recommend changing the font before resizing because fonts have different sizes. So in the top left-hand side, we're going to make sure that our text is selected, and we're going to click on the font section. This will open up a whole panel where you can browse all the fonts that you have. You can either use the Cricut fonts, and they may be available to you if you have Cricut Access, or you would need to pay a fee to be able to use them. Or you can rather just go to the top tab where it says System, and those are all the fonts that are on your computer. So those are all going to be free for you to use. You can, of course, choose any font you want. I'm going to make mine nice and simple. I'm going to leave it on Action Man. Now I'm going to collapse that side panel because I don't want it open anymore, and zoom in a little bit. I'm going to resize it by just grabbing one of the squares in the corner and dragging it in so that it is a little bit smaller. I want to make sure that it fits onto my tag, so I'm going to resize it. And I realize I might want to have it on two different lines as opposed to all next to each other, so I'm going to double click, and it's kind of already automatically put it onto two lines. But if it doesn't, you can delete the space and then just click enter. Then we can make it smaller. And I actually want to reduce the line space between the two lines. So I'm going to just click the down button here, just to bring those two words a little bit closer together. Now we can see that those two words are nice and close. Maybe make them a little bit bigger, and then just increase the size a little bit. My bounding box is open though. So what this means is that I can move the edges, and it's not going to squish my text. If that is happening to you and you don't want that to happen, click on Alignment and then turn the wrap off. So my wrap is currently on. I want to turn that off. And now the text is going to show me the right dimensions for what it actually is. I am going to change the color of the text. So I'm going to just once again go to that little square in the top and change it to a nice deep green. Now we have a title on the one side, but we don't have it on the other side. So I'm going to select our title, right click, duplicate, so that we have two of them. And I'm going to move over to the other side and place it kind of in the middle there. What I tend to find is that I need to have one in one direction and then one upside down. So they're not both facing in the same direction. They need to kind of be opposites. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my mouse over the corner so that it changes to that rounded arrow that you can see. And I'm going to rotate it all the way upside down. And I want to make sure that it's straight. So I'm going to hold in Shift on my keyboard and it snaps to a perfect 180 degrees. There we go. I'm going to try and make sure that it's centered. There we go. I quite like the design that we have on those ones there. So now that our label is complete, we can select everything, right click and duplicate it. And here is where you can now start adding multiple different titles. So if you want one that says night lamp, you want another one that says phone charger, we're going to right click and copy. And then we're going to come over to the one title on the other side, double click. It's going to look funny because it's got both the correct orientation text and the other one, but don't stress. Then we're going to right click and click paste. And then when you click away, it should be correct. So we can then just center that again. And you can repeat that process until you have all of the titles and all of the items labeled that you want. Or if you don't want titles or labels on them, you don't have to. So we can select them both, duplicate, rinse and repeat for an entire page. And I would recommend kind of putting them next to each other so they're not too far apart. Here you can see I've left just a little bit of a gap in between them. Don't put them right next to each other, as I don't know, that tends to end up with problems. Once you've created a few with titles and maybe even a few blank ones, you can select all of them. And what I want you to now do is to come to the bottom right-hand side of the screen and click flatten. You'll see the look changes just a little bit, but what this does is it solidifies all of the layers into one, and it leaves just one solid outside shape that we're going to need to cut. So you will see it's changed a little bit, but this is correct, and this is what we need it to look like. If you want to make sure that you are optimizing your space on your page as much as you possibly can, then you want to also grab the print then cut template that I have for you. You can upload that into Cricut Design Space and use it on your canvas. I like to use it in the top left-hand corner of my canvas so that I can just move everything across to that side. I want to right click and send this to the back, so that I'm optimizing the space of my material and making the most out of the page that I can. So if I rotate this, I can see that I can actually add, a whole nother section of labels, and I can have many more labels on this one particular page. So I can make better use out of my space on my materials. Once you feel like you have enough stickers on your page and you've used up enough of your material, what you can do is select the print and cut template layer. And in the layers panel, we just want to hover over it and click on the little eye to hide that layer so that it disappears from our canvas entirely and we can't see it at all. Next, we're going to select everything on our canvas. Make sure that everything is selected in the layers panel except for the template. And then once again, we're going to come down to the bottom right-hand corner and click flatten. So now we have only one object. It's just going to cut the outline and we are good to go with our cable tag or cable label stickers. We're going to click make. When it prompts you to save your project, you can. And now it comes to the preview page, and I would recommend not making any changes here, because if you make changes here and then you print your page and then Cricut Design Space crashes, the printed page you won't be able to use again because you won't be able to get everything in exactly the right position. So I would recommend not making any changes here, and then we're going to click continue. We're going to connect to our Cricut and we're going to send it to our printer in the same breath. So I'm going to click send to printer. We're going to make sure that our page size is correct. I'm using an A4 page, yours may be letter. The correct printer is selected. I only want one copy. And I like to leave bleed on, especially for projects like this, because there is no white border on the outside. It's a solid color border. So what the bleed does is, if your registration is like just slightly off, it allows there to not be a little white edge to your sticker. So I pretty much always leave bleed on, and then I always check the system dialog to make sure that the printer settings matches the material that I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to click print. The printer dialog will pop up, and it might be behind Cricut Design Space if you can't see it. So then I'm just going to click preferences and make sure that the printer settings are correct. This one is actually not correct, so I need to change it from matte paper to photo paper glossy. I'm going to change the quality to high, and then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click print, and it is going to start printing. There we go. While it prints, we can verify the print quality, so you can just make sure that you have all 4 registration marks displayed on the page, and I'm going to click done. Now I'm going to select the material that I'm going to be using, so I'm going to select my photo paper glossy setting. Now we're ready to cut it on our Cricut. So I'm going to remove the protective layer on my light grip mat. I'm going to make sure the little triangle in one of the registration marks is facing up in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to load that onto my mat. And now if you've used your glossy paper and you want to try out the white crayon method, I highly recommend doing it at this point. You just literally draw over the registration marks and a little bit on either side. It just mattifies them so that it's a lot easier for the Cricut to read the registration marks. I find it helps immensely with my projects, and it means that I don't have as many problems. And this is actually one of the things that I cover in my print and cut problem solving guide, which is a guide that I've created that's focused specifically on print and cut problems and helping you resolve them. So it's got over 60 different solutions from design, printing, and cutting stages within your print and cut projects to help you resolve all of them. So if you're looking for one central resource to help you avoid the headache of print and cut problems, then definitely check that out below, because it has helped so many people so much to solve their problems and, you know, get them enjoying print and cut, because print and cut is a really fun thing to use, and I know that it can be really intimidating. So make sure you check that out down below, as it's really going to help your projects. And then of course you're going to want to just load it up into your Cricut and cut them out. Once you've removed the cable tag or cable label, I would recommend lining up the edges first and then pressing them down when you're actually labeling your cables. I find it works just a little bit easier and helps me get them aligned a little bit easier. So I hope that you enjoyed this project. If you're looking for more fun print and cut projects, check out these videos here. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this content. I'll see you in this playlist, and remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.